back, everybody, to the Burnt Not By YouTube channel. Today we are headed back out to Spragen Built Customs for yet another WillSpec wiring video. So if you think what we've done up until now is redneck, this is going to take the cake. Sick. This is the truck we're going to be working on. Adam did not build this truck, but the guy brought it to him to have a different engine put in it and to have me redo the wiring. There's also some concern points on this thing Adam's going to be taking care of, but if you want to see all that stuff, go to his channel and check that out. Otherwise, we got to talk about something real quick. I've been gone for a little while. I was in Japan for 3.5 weeks, so that ate up a lot of my time before I went, a little bit of time after I went to recover, and it was just it was busy. And on top of that, unfortunately, one of my dogs had to be put down, so vibes on the channel just weren't exactly right, and I did record some stuff. It just didn't really pan out the way that I wanted it to, and I didn't really want to make this channel boring and a bummer, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, we're back, and this is what we're working on today. So this truck is a little bit different than what Adam normally builds, I think, and I'll have to get with Adam on this one. Maybe you find it on his channel. I think this is a Chevy Express van chassis, and I'm pretty sure he calls it a 3000. The owner's name is Sam, so we're just going to call it Sam's truck until we figure out what it actually is. But it is a Loadstar. I think it's like a mid-70s cab. But yeah, it's on an express van chassis, and it had a 12-valve Cummins in it. As you can see there. There's a 24-valve for it around here somewhere, but that's not for us to worry about right now. Once he gets it in the truck, then we'll worry about it. What we're going to be doing today is a little bit of layout so that I can kind of start basically making like the leads that go places. So power always starts at the batteries. So they are back here. Then the engine and transmission are not in it, and I'm not sure if he's reusing this one or if he's got a different one. So basically what I need to do in order to, or what I need in order to build the main harness, the main power harness from the batteries, is the starter to be in its location, because we bring power from the batteries to the starter and then up to the fuse panel and then over to the alternator. So there's two things on that circuit that are not where they currently belong. So we can't really do that yet, but what we can do is place the fuse box and start taking measurements with string of how long our leads need to be, so that we can get a rough idea, get them in the truck, and then put connectors on them. And I'll explain that here in a few minutes. But currently, engine is out of the truck. The engine is all over this area, but again, I think he's not using that one. This is the wiring that came out of the truck. Gross. Harness, and that's all I ever want to know about that. There is the main power stuff. I kind of thought maybe we'd reuse this, but I don't know, man. It's really rigid stuff. We're gonna probably get some more high dollar stuff from ProWire and really lay this out nice. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the engine compartment right now. Need the engine put back so I can kind of do that stuff. It's going to be the harness that I build for the truck, where it interfaces with the engine, is going to be interfaced to a diesel conversion specialist harness. They build some really nice engine harnesses for the 24 valves. So that's what we're going to do on that side of things. But the interior is actually pretty stinking nice in this truck. Some really nice mat on the back there. It had power seats. They are right here, so we're gonna probably preserve that. I'm pretty certain he's gonna reuse these seats, so we'll preserve that. It had a radio. It has HVAC. where's the, oh, there's the dash. Okay, so the dash. Some of the things I needed to see out here were like what all on the driver's side of things, like what kind of switches these are, and if they can handle load. It's kind of the main thing that I'm out here for. Yeah, so let me explain. There's two ways of doing this. There's the old school way, which is run a positive from a fuse to the switch to the load. And some of it's still like that. The way I like doing things is ground side switched. So you get a big old fuse box and you run a ground to the switch. Then you run the ground from the switch to a relay that's in that fuse box, and then it controls the load. So it keeps all of the positive kind of in one place because, as you guys know, 12-volt positive, it should pop the fuse if something goes wrong, but on the off chance it doesn't, it could potentially cause problems. So I like to go ground side switched. Well, ground side relay switched. The reason I like to do that is because if for some reason the ground wire gets worn through, it basically just turns whatever that switch controls on and then just like kills the battery. It's like kind of the worst case. And it's easy to diagnose because, hey, my headlights won't turn off. Why is that? And then I build my harnesses out of all white wire. You'll see that. And it's black loom. So when you flip the loom up to kind of look under it, you see white. There's your problem. We'll get to that later. But yeah, so I like to do ground side switch. So the reason I was out here was to figure out if these switches can handle load because I'm not entirely sure that I want to do it that way. It is simpler. But I still think we're just going to make them ground switches. I'm not entirely sure what all these do. I might flip this dash over here in just a second and take a look. But what I do know is that we have a radio harness right here, and it doesn't matter what kind of radio it is. These harnesses always make me want to vomit. I mean, it doesn't matter how nice your radio is. That's what it always ends up looking like, and it makes me sick. Gross. So we're going to clean that up for sure and kind of integrate it to the main harness. This must be the ignition switch. That's definitely able to handle a load, except for that guy right there. That looks like it could handle just about enough load to start a fire. So yeah, that's probably going to be all ground side switched as well. Anyway, let's flip this dash over real quick. All right, so other than the gauges, which we'll get to those in a second, front of this thing's pretty simple. Looks like ignition, probably headlights, maybe that's the washer, the wipers and washer fluid. And this guy here, I'm not exactly sure what he controls, but we'll get him straightened up and rewire the back side of it. Really nice Alpine head unit there. This thing did have a pretty good stereo in it. And then other than behind the dash, we just have the HVAC, which we'll go look at here in just a minute. I think it's pretty simple. I think it has its own control module, so we just have to get it switch power basically. But my understanding is that these guys just need wired into it. So that actually shouldn't be a very big deal. These gauges though, I'm gonna have to maybe two-hand this. Yeah, we're gonna have two-hand. I'm not sure what brand these are, but just looking at them, they're nice. So we're definitely going to reuse these. I think maybe, oh, this is the Airlift controller. Okay, cool. Super cool. We'll get to that as well. There's a air sus in this thing. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but we got to wire that in as well. These guys here, yeah, we're going to make a sub harness for this. So where these that lead right there is bouncing around, and any other wires that came off and went somewhere else, those are going to be run into like a single or two connectors basically. So if this needs to come out, you just unplug it. So that basically does it for the dash. The center console though, let's take a look at that. It's dirty, dusty right now, but I'm gonna be honest, this thing, when it was in the truck, like, I'm not going to talk smack about this. Like, there's some things that do confuse me on this thing, but when that dash was in here, it was like really high level show quality stuff. So like, there's some really, really nice stuff on this truck. And then the stuff that, is concerning is kind of why it's here. So Adam's taking care of all that, but just wanted to say, like, this thing's freaking nice, like no doubt about it. This is a nice truck. So anyway, but yeah, that's basically the interior there, right? And then the airlift stuff is right there. So there's a USB cable we'll kind of put into the harness as well. That is just a bolt that's on the backside with a nut and a lock washer, and then the ground gets bolted between the two nuts, which again, it works, it's fine, but we're gonna get stainless rib studs for this thing, so we'll actually crimp in a stud where we need grounds, so that'll be pretty nice little upgrade there. But we had plenty of space to work with in there until these diesel goobers put their big old fat engines in these things, so it's gonna get a little tight in that dash, but we'll get her sorted. Let's go around back, take a look out here. So we talked about this a minute ago. We have two big batteries here. I'm probably going to redo these myself. Main power is like my bread and butter. I'm good at all of it, but main power is really kind of my favorite thing to do. So we're going to do that. Then these guys here, these are obviously for the air suspension. They're the compressors, and then there's the air tank right there. But this it's just a little confusing the way this was wired. These went to their own individual fuses, which is fine. Then they go to the control relay from the box inside. And then out of the control relay, there was like speaker wire that is not meant to be outside the vehicle, run into this big fuse here, which is meant for an amplifier. And then came out and went to the battery post here, I believe. It was unhooked the first time I saw it, but yeah, I mean, the 3 fuses are fine. We want one for the whole circuit, and then we obviously want one for each motor. That's great. But the wiring is just kind of a mess. So we're going to clean that up, make this box look really nice. And then there's going to be some air dog pumps in here somewhere, which are, if you don't know, they're like electric lift pumps for diesel engines. They'll be in here somewhere. I don't know if they'll be in front of the tank or behind it, but either way, I thought, if for some reason you ever needed to get in here to work on something, or like this airline can be used to fill tires. So I thought, hey, maybe we put a light in here, maybe like right here, like an LED strip, and put like a door switch, somewhere around here that gets tripped when this is closed or opened. And then when you open it up, it lights up this whole area and you can see what you're doing and kind of work. So yeah, I think that'll be nice. So we'll kind of have it work on the same like the dome light circuit. So, which actually reminds me, does this thing have, do we not do dome lights in these? Do they go right here? Maybe. Probably gonna. I don't see anywhere else that they go. All these are just latches. You get the idea. Is there anything else we need to talk about before we get to work? Maybe out back. Let's talk about out back. This truck, it looks like, does have a trailer brake controller on it. The guy said, boy, am I caught? I'm not caught, okay. The guy said that he was never going to tow with this truck. Here's my opinion. This is a big diesel truck, right? And I think that it should have the capacity to tow. And what that means for me is I need to make sure that I install the trailer brake controller, which that's kind of like, I know how to install them like on a normal truck that has the harness already. That's like a little bit foreign to me. I know it's pretty simple, but the idea is I build race cars. Like I wire race cars, right? So I've never really installed a trailer brake controller from scratch. So that's going to be kind of new to me. But it's something that I feel this vehicle should have. That way, one day down the road when this guy goes, you know what? I would like to have a camper, or I don't know, or I would like to take this truck to a show and have my camper to stay in, whatever. This thing has the capability to do it. So my responsibility will be to install the trailer brake controller and make sure it works. Adam's responsibility will be to make sure that this thing is capable of towing a trailer. And right now, I mean, while this looks really good here, kind of out back, it's not so great. So hopefully Adam can strengthen that up for him. But I know at least my part will be to make sure this works. And then I might also hide a like a little 4-pin somewhere just in case he tows something dinky. You know, like the kind of stuff I tow with my Ridgeline. Anyway, so that is the tour of the truck that we're going to be working on right now. What I'm going to do is go out to my car and grab my little box of tools that I brought with me to kind of get started. And we are going to run main harness leads. So here's how that's going to work. A good example is this truck has a removable front end, one piece. So somewhere around here, we need to have a connector that can be unplugged and the lead can go with the front end. So what we're going to be doing today is setting the fuse box where we want it, somewhere in here, and then running just a piece of string down and getting the measurements that we need to go from A to B, and then, you know, going from here to here, however I choose to do it. I can then say for the left front headlight, right front headlight, turn signal bulbs, and maybe I add another light underneath the hood. That way, if he flips it up, it's kind of like the light I was talking about in the back. All of those are 24 inches to start. Then when we come back out, that thing might be on the floor, and then we can build the sub harnesses. And then the whole truck's going to be like that. Like everything that comes out of the fuse box is going to have some sub harness somewhere. So there will be a connector in between. So for now, while it's in this condition, we'll be able to run all the wires from the fuse box. And then once it starts to become more assembled, we can start to run the sub harnesses. Does that make sense? Hope so. It will over the course of the next few videos. So at this point, I've talked enough. We are going to go get the things I need out of the car and then start laying some stuff out. All right, so this is the main fuse box for this truck. This guy here is going to control mostly everything that we have to deal with in here, and will at least control power to the control sides of things. A lot of pins to make for this, so I bought a new set of crimpers you'll see later that will really help me make sure these are good connections. But we have the space for 10 relays, up to 5-pin relays. We'll probably use 4 pins for most of it. And then 40 fuses with 4 spares and a fuse puller that apparently I need to buy separately. This guy needs to go somewhere in this area. Now, considering there are all of these holes, I don't know if Adam's planning on remaking this or welding those holes shut or what, but this is what we're going to use as our datum, and then that'll at least be where we start. Now, no matter where we put this thing, the way I'm going to do this is all of the wiring is going to come this direction. Everything for the inside of the truck is going to go through here. I might have to 3D print some sort of grommet for that because that is a huge hole that somebody cut through this thing. Anyway, that'll be where the interior stuff goes. The main power stuff from the battery, the starter, is going to come up this direction. And then for stuff up in the front and the engine, well, really anything on the exterior of the truck, is all going to run down through that same area. And then either come along the side of that panel right here, or even run along the bottom side of it and then down the front core support here, to be said loosely. The other thing I have to keep in mind when I'm doing this is I want to figure out how to commonize this harness, where essentially we have a truck here that's 15 feet long, maybe, let's say. But then over here, go to Adam's channel if you want to see more of this thing. Over here, we have a truck that is significantly longer, maybe 3 feet, 2 feet at least. So what I'm trying to do is essentially commonize these harnesses where I could build the same thing I built for this one, except on this truck, I would basically just cut it and extend it 2-3 feet, whatever, here. So then I wouldn't have to, honestly, I kind of really wouldn't even have to come back out here if I take good enough notes. We would obviously double check everything once it's built, but essentially, if I take good enough notes building this one, I may not even actually have to come back out here to do it. I can just build it in my basement. I need a shop so bad. I know that was a lot, but try to keep that all in mind while you see me working here. That's all of the stuff that I'm taking into account while I'm building this thing. It's never going to be an exact science, and it's never going to be exactly the same, but if you can commonize 95% of it, then that's the way to go. But it's time to get some work done. So I got a couple of simple measurements on the iPad over there, and let me show you what I figured out. So this is essentially where this fuse panel is going to end up. It is going to get its main power from 2 leads. One is going to be right from the starter straight to one of these bus bars, so it's always hot from the battery at all times. The other is going to be coming up to a 150 amp relay that is controlled by the ground with that ignition switch over there. That will be the IG2. Now, anything that comes on an IG1 will either be powered off of, no, I'm sorry, will be ground side controlled to relays in here. So that'll be your IG1. Then the big bad IG2 that runs everything will be right here and will be ground side switched. That way, when you turn the key on, just a simple little ground comes out, goes to that relay, and turns on the entire switch side of the fuse box, essentially being your IG2. And then start, we'll go to a starter relay that will send however many amps we need to the starter. I think it's probably around 30 to turn it on. Now, that's main power. Well, there's some details to still figure out there, so some of that may not have been like completely true. But anyway, we have a lead that is going from this fuse panel into the cabin. This lead will go just nice, clean sweep right up into there. Then coming off of it, we'll have everything else that needs to go anywhere else in the truck. So it will come, there'll be a T that comes out and goes down around through here. The wipers will break out of that, probably straight down into another T right here. We'll make that nice and clean. We'll put a 3-pin connector on that. Then the engine connector will be right here. That will be how we interface with the engine. That'll be, if the 24 valve should have a drive-by-wire throttle. If it does, all of that will go through there. The OBD will go through there. So yeah, all the engine stuff will be in one connector. And then alongside that, running right down and straight back under the truck will be like the rear lights and all of that stuff. So we could basically have the front engine and rear wired before we come back out. And then once the engine's back in it, we can kind of finalize that. And then we probably ought to take at least that with us today and do some research on these gauges as to what pin is what, because there was no way we were going to figure that out on our own. So I need to look these things up and find the wiring diagrams for what wire goes where, and then start running those. I think for now we have enough to do, at least get a good start. That'll get essentially the truck side exterior stuff wired. Yeah, I'd say that'll probably get us going there. So that should be all I needed out here today. I am stealing the combi meter because if I can get that cleaned up, that honestly basically cleans up most of the dash. So this is probably what we'll work on quite a bit today. I think I have what I need otherwise. So let's go back to the house and see if we can't work on this a little bit. All right, so we are back at my house in my utility room, storage room, wiring studio combo. Couple of things have changed in here. One thing that hasn't changed is those two things are still very annoying, so unfortunately we might have to deal with some fan noise. Anyway, let's talk about what's changed. So as you are very much aware, I will be doing some wiring for Adam, and I needed a space to do it. So we have got this storage room that I built. That mess is my side, that mess is Michaela's side, that mess down there isn't finished yet. I need to get some more MDF, and I also need to get some more drywall, and as you can see, the rest of my basement needs drywall. My other car is a Ridgeline that has 300,000 miles on it, and the right rear damper upper mount like blew off the metal part that holds the rubber, like blew off the rest of it, so I have no right rear damper. So I ordered those parts and I have them. I'm going to fix that tomorrow. So after that, we'll get the MDF that we need for down there and the drywall that we need to finish this. Got the new dampers in so we can maybe finish up the wiring studio. There's the rest of my truck. That's not even all of it. This area above the damper, sorry about the zoom. This area up here in this cavity is just full of chunks like this one. It's unfortunate. These old Hondas had all this corrosion issue on the back sides like this. The rest of the truck's great though. I mean, there's some surface rust, but it looks good. But yeah, these areas here underneath the front of the rear quarters and the rear bumper beam, I mean, this area and this area are terrible. It had the recall done for the front, the C-point bushings tearing out of the subframe, or out of the unibody, but it might be time to start looking at a newer one. I'd like to either get a 2014 special edition version of this thing or a 2022. Then there's also the debate of, do I just get a 1500 of something or do I get a diesel, right? If I get a diesel or anything larger than really a Ridgeline, I need to get a daily driver car. And I already have enough cars. I don't know what to do. This is the best vehicle I've ever had, so we're gonna try to keep her going forever. But I'm starting to get worried. Anyway. There will be many more of these over time, but I kind of reorganized them to just have like all the stuff that we're going to need to do these specific harnesses. And then up here, this I kind of lucked out that those two joists are 35 inches apart and was able to mount this to the ceiling. This is the TXL wire we'll be using for these trucks. This is the, I forget what that stuff's called, but it's a flex loom. I just can't remember what it's called. Anyway. Then these two down here, I'll just kind of get filled up over time, but then I've got all my tools right there and we'll be working right here. What's nice about that thing being up there as opposed to on the wall is I can just grab a hold of what I need and drag it right out there onto the table. Cut it to length and we're good to go. What's not nice about it is these very easily come out, yep, just like that, come out of there. And the other day, this fell and hit me in the face, so that really hurt. But as you guys saw, between this, and this, I have a decent amount of work to get done. I honestly think we're going to start here. This is going to be the easiest thing to do. I'm actually going to put tape on that before I flip it over, or get a towel. But that will be the easiest thing to do as far as like the mental side of things. It'll get me back into my groove and will get me to a point where we can start busting out some imagination to wire this thing. So that being said, let's get to work. We're hardly even into the first step here, and we already have a concern. Look at that. Yikes. Yep, that's why we're redoing this. wires here. Why are these two? Brother, what is going on? These things are the turn signal pilots. They just disintegrated. So I don't know if you can see that one is missing a lead, and the lead that it's missing, there is a resistor in there. These looked pretty awful in the first place. Yeah, those have got to go. So we got some new ones on the way. I'll have to drill this hole a little bit bigger, and then we'll be able to get them running with everything else. Alright, so I just got as far as I can get without some supplies that I'm waiting on currently. Taking a little bit longer to get here than I had hoped, but let's take a look at the back of this thing and the pile of garbage that I pulled off of it. So this is the mess of splices and ring terminals that I took off of there, and the old turn signal indicators. We're ordering new ones of those. That is the pile of mess that I made. This is what this thing looks like now. And it seems a little chaotic currently, but when I get the tape that I need, it'll all just kind of be one really nice clean line. This side over here maybe needs a little bit of adjustment. When I get the tape, we'll work on that. And then I also need a 12-pin DTM connector. But considering that those two wires over there were melted, I have my power supply out, and while I clean up my mess, I'm going to run some current through the it's the Illumination circuit, and we're just going to make sure that, you know, nothing's funky in there, or like, you know, there's not like a short somewhere. So let's turn the lights off and turn this thing on and see what it looks like. Switch on front of this thing. Oh, you know what? It's plugged into my lights. Here I am thinking my power supply went bad, but really it was just on a switched outlet. So here we go. I gotta be honest, I mean, those gauges look really good. Like really good. So we're gonna let this kind of sit here and cook for a little while while I turn the lights back on and clean up my mess. Also, something else worth noting, it's only drawing 1.7 amp to run all of those incandescent bulbs, so it's pretty efficient. Alright, so went ahead and covered this up with tape really well because it's going to be getting handled quite a bit, and I didn't want to scratch those gauges. They look expensive. Also, this wire is not the main feed wire, but it is acting as the main feed right now, and it's not even warm, so I don't think there's an issue with this wiring or these gauges. However, these incandescent bulbs, I mean, like all these gauges right next to these bulbs, like this spot, that is too hot to rest my thumb on too long. And I don't think it's a problem, but I'm just noticing like these bulbs get really hot. So anyway, that's part of the design, and they seem okay, you know, so I don't think the problem is here. I think there was literally just something wrong with that wiring. So this has been running for the better part of an hour now, and we're at 1.8 amps, a little bit of resistance since it warmed up, but really nothing that worries me. How do you like my workbench freezer combo that resides in my utility storage wiring room combo? Gotta start somewhere, I guess. But yeah, I don't think there's a problem here. I think this is good. So when the rest of my supplies show up, we will get a wrap on this. We're gonna wrap it in just some standard automotive like felt tape, and then put a DTM 12 on it, which is, I guess I didn't want the rest of it, this style of connector, but with 12 pins. So I'll have a couple left over just in case something needs to be added, I guess. like that. All right, next day, tape showed up. We're gonna wrap this. I got the turn signal indicators wired in. We're still waiting on those, but we're gonna wrap this up in tape, and then we're gonna order the DTM 12 connector for this when I have a larger order. So we're not gonna do the connector just yet. And there you have it. That is the harness for this thing. Again, we're still waiting on the turn signal pilots to show up, and then we're waiting on the DTM 12 to show up. We got a lot of wiring to do. So anyway, that does it for this video, guys. Thanks for stopping out, seeing what we're going to do on the truck, how we're going to do it, and seeing a little bit of work on the combi meter. I'm definitely back in my groove. I got everything laid out. I know where all my tools are and everything now. So this next step is going to cruise. So I will see you on the next one, and we're going to be hard at work. That does it for this video.